Hello, it's me again in bar form, and I'm gonna be talking about a different topic right now, and it's gonna be about drinking. A little bit more of a messy subject, I think, although relationships can be pretty messy, I think. Anyhow, so drinking. I'm gonna be talking about why we do it, the dangers with it, and how you can, if you're gonna drink, how you can stay, safe. And if you don't wanna drink, how you can try and not drink, basically. Keep yourself hydrated with the right liquid. Water. Yes. So the why. Why do we drink? Why the drinking, right? Why do you drink ever? And I think that the reason why we drink usually is because it's a social lubricant, right? It eases those interactions with people. It makes it so that you can interact with people and feel normal. You're less self-conscious about all your issues. You can open up better. You can just go to someone that you've never met and be like, yo, let's, drink, let's be friends and do great stuff. And I think that is very true of alcohol in general, that it's a social lubricant. That's reason number one probably why people drink. There's also the unique aspect of VRChat, where specifically, because the topic is about VRChat drinking generally, the big thing about VRChat is like immersion and escapism, right? And I think alcohol plays a huge part in that. It makes it easier to escape from reality, because you feel more immersed. You feel like the other stuff outside of the VR is like it fades away easily because of the alcohol and stuff. But aside from those two reasons for drinking, there's also like just the drug aspect, right? There's probably a lot of reasons why people drink. Like it's usually based because of like social stuff and based because of just escapism. But it's also but alcohol is also a drug that just like, it's used to feel good. You feel numb. Things are easier to, like, existence becomes less heavy. That's the why, basically, I would say. But there are a lot of problems with drinking in general, of course. With VRChat specifically, you have things like hazards that you might not normally have with like IRL stuff, where in VRChat you are very disconnected from your real life surroundings. So you can bump things, you can knock things over containers, you can spill over very expensive hardware, you can do all sorts of stuff. You can harm yourself, you can harm your house, you can harm expensive things, and it's a very dangerous zone to be in, a very dangerous mode. So you have to be very aware, because otherwise you're gonna trip and fall and do all sorts of stuff and damage things and yourself. So there's the hazard problem, but there's also the motion sickness. That's also sort of unique to VRChat. VR in general tends to have a lot of motion sickness tied to it, especially for newer players. So if you're susceptible to be motion sick, if you drink, that's gonna just double that effect, multiply it. It's not gonna be pretty, and you're gonna be puking everywhere, most definitely. Aside from those problems of drinking, there are also, of course, things like just puking, liver failure, liver damage, health related stuff. There's also other stuff where, socially, you're less likely to stop yourself from going overboard with stuff. You might add people you shouldn't add, you might get into fights, and there's a lot of like social stuff there that has potential for issues. So that's like a thing to be mindful of as well with drinking. So yeah, those are like basically the main problems, I feel like, with VRChat. So we have the why we do it, and then the problems arriving with drinking. There are of course more reasons why we do it and more problems of drinking, like addictions and whatnot. But there's say you don't want to drink, right? Say you are a light drinker, or maybe you don't drink at all. You might not want to drink. Well, there are a lot of issues that arrive with VRChat specifically, and trying to not drink or drink very little, and that is the whole drinking culture in VRChat is very strong. You have worlds like the bar. You have worlds like drinking night. What are you gonna be doing in drinking night? I wonder. So if you join your friends and you just want to hang out and stuff, you'll feel very pressured to drink because of the world and the setting. It can be a bar, it can be a nightclub. Places where you tend to drink, right? You usually don't hang out with people in an alcohol-free environment. Like in VRChat, that doesn't tend to be the norm. And you have like things like drinking groups. You have things like people coming up to you. There's a lot of peer pressure with VRChat. People go, oh, cheers. It's a very common thing. If you go to any club and start talking to people, in VRChat, you will definitely find someone that will eventually go, cheers! You know, it can be the DJ, it can be someone you never met, it can be a friend of yours, a friend of a friend, and so on. And once someone cheers and everyone drinks around you, you're gonna feel left out and like you're the black sheep. So it's a lot of peer pressure there. And you also have like all these games where it's like spin the bottle over there and just drink 3 shots if blah blah blah. You know, like there's a lot of would you rather things, and it's like a lot of things just where you gamify alcohol. VRChat is very good at gamifying drinking, so that's a big issue with VRChat. So yeah, no, it's the culture, it's the worlds, it's the games, it's everything. The people there. It's very easy to get pressured to drink in VRChat, and all it takes is that you drink once, and you'll feel more and more lenient, more and more willing to do things, and it's just a rabbit hole that goes into you puking or something worse. So that's the why. That's the dangers, and also why it's hard to not do it in the first place. But say you have been drinking, right? Okay, well, now you have the issues of the disconnect from your body. You have a hard time to keeping track with if you're very affected, because things appear more normal in VRChat, but when you take off your headset after like an hour or two, you're like, whoa, what the fuck, the world is tilting, you know? It's a lot easier to not notice the effect of alcohol when you are in VRChat. So there's like a very big danger to overdoing it, because you can't trust your instincts anymore. You can't trust all these signals that would otherwise help you with determining if you've been drinking too much. So there's like the disconnect from the body. There's also a big time dilation effect going on with drinking. You can be drinking, right? Sure, maybe you try and pace yourself or something, but drinking results into you spending a lot of time in VRChat, a lot more than you might want to or should be doing. You might be in VRChat for a very, very, very long time, and whoops, now it's suddenly midnight, and you had all these things you were supposed to do. And you might think that, oh well, that's on them or that's on me, but I'm just saying that the time dilation effect is also, a thing that occurs with VRChat that's a little bit unique. And then there's the aftermath, right? Say you've been drinking, okay, yes, and then you blacked out, which is a real thing that happens, and especially in VRChat, I've had it happen a lot. The different thing here from real life is that IRL, you only have to keep track of your IRL stuff, what you did there and stuff, but in VRChat, you have to keep track of everything you did in VRChat, all the social stuff, the people you added, the people you blocked, the people you have arguments with, and whatever. Like, you have to keep track of that, and then you also have to keep track of your real life stuff. What did you do IRL? Did you puke somewhere? You now have to clean that up. Did you get into an argument? Did you bump something over? There's a bunch of different things here where it's like there's a unique issue in the aftermath where you have to be careful about what you did IRL, but also online. Yeah, so that's like a unique issue of the aftermath of VRChat, basically. No, but yeah, that's it. Now, so I've been talking about the why, the dangers, the reason it's hard to stop drinking, and also the aftermath I've been talking about. And also, I've also been talking about the more VR-related problems where you have a disconnect between yourself, you and your body, and losing track, like time dilation issues. But now I'm gonna talk about solutions, more like how to drink safely if you're gonna drink, how to not drink when you don't want to drink, all these things, right? The first thing I say is rule 0, prep your space. Don't have chairs in the way. If you have chairs, make them easy to move and have them like be able to be under your desk. Maybe have a stool. I have a stool. I'm sitting on right now, fitting, but I have a stool that I usually sit on, and I can just put it under my desk and it won't be in the way. So prep your space, place your drinks where you won't walk over them, maybe under your desk actually, and like a bit far in. So maybe it's like inconvenient to grab your drink and stuff, but if you're gonna try and minimize your drinking, you need to do all these preps, and making it harder to drink is gonna make it easier for you to not overdo it. So prep your space, right? Rule 0, very important. And then have a limit, set a limit for yourself. How much do I want to, drink tonight? And you can do this by just having an arbitrary rule, right? Like, okay, I just want to have had like 6 glasses, and you keep count. But you can make it a lot easier. When you prep your space, for example, make sure that the amount of alcohol you have is only gonna be the amount you're willing to drink. Don't have more than that, because if you have more than that, it's a lot easier for you to overdo it. And if you've just prepped your space with just the right amount of alcohol, you won't overdo it, and you will not drink too much. You will have an easier time not drinking as much. So yeah, rule 0, space, prep it. And then the other rule is the limiter. And another rule I say is water bottle rule, which is between every drink, I recommend you drink the same amount in the water. Like if you have a glass of wine or beer or something, have a glass of water after every drink, so you keep yourself hydrated. And maybe between every 6th drink or something, depending on how much you drink, of course. But you should definitely have a salt mix, you know, like a protein powder, to make sure that you don't get a hangover and that you take in the water more easily, because that's like what the protein powder would do. It helps you take in the water more easily. So yeah, that's also an important thing to, you know, the water bottle rule. It's a very good rule to stick by. And then, especially for you guys that do not want to drink and don't want to feel peer pressured by people for drinking games, you either just say no, be good at saying no to people, or if you dislike confronting people like me, you can just have like a soda or just water or something, and whenever someone says cheers, you're gonna drink that soda or that water instead. They won't know the difference, and to be honest, your real friends wouldn't care if you were drinking water or soda or whatever, or alcohol. You know, they would respect your choice. Those are like those are like the key rules I try and follow to minimize all these issues that we've been talking about, and how to mitigate not drinking when you don't want to drink. But there's also the last rule. It's a bit harder to do, of course, but find your people. You know, if you have friends that peer pressure you to drinking and you've told them that you don't want that, or you just don't want to, you know, drink, but you have friends that drink a lot and they try and make you drink a lot, you might need to find a different calling. Maybe find a group that's all about being sober, you know, or staying hydrated, or maybe find a group that's like about drinking responsibly. You know, these things can be hard to do though, and you might not want to throw away your entire friend group. But that's why I also gave you the prior ones to help make sure that you do not get hangovers, make sure that you don't trip over stuff, make sure that you take some water and salt whenever you need to, and make sure that you limit yourself, and also make sure that you can just avoid drinking in general at all by, you know, having a water bottle or soda. That's like the unique thing about VRChat, is that you can fake drinking very easily. You do not have to have like ordered alcohol-free stuff. No, you can just have a drink that's like soda or something. Like have a soda, have water, and no one will know the difference, you know? Yeah. But yeah, those are basically the things I wanted to touch on today. A little bit of a messier video, I suppose, where I ramble about the issues, the whys, the how it's hard to stop drinking or not drink at all. It's hard to do that. Why beer has like specific unique problems, the aftermath of drinking VRChat, how that's a nightmare. But yeah, like all those things, and like how to stay safe and make sure that you drink at the pace that you want to drink, that you stay, you know, healthy, and that you can just avoid drinking at all if you don't want to drink. Yeah. But yeah, no, that's basically it. That's my little video here about drinking. Hope it helped someone, or at least was fun to watch. I'm gonna try doing more of these videos now and then, but I still do short-term content as well. I just like talking about things. I might start opening up more, maybe making podcasts with people, just talking about issues or topics. But yeah, no, let me know what you think about the video down below, and yeah, if there's any suggestions of topics you might want me to talk about, anything really. But yeah, stay safe. Oh yeah, stay safe, and I hope you all have a good day, night, or morning or something. Yes, bye bye.